welcome back to my channel. It has been a year since I've last uploaded. I think I last uploaded in July. It's June 10th, so by the time I probably edit this, it will probably be early July. I'm trying to get this out before, so if you see this in the month of June, I ate that. But yeah, I wanted to say sorry, first of all, for not uploading. I had this script for my new video essay, the one that I'm currently about to film, done in October, and the fall semester was tough for me. Spring semester was a lot more relaxing, so I was able to do more then. Recently, I've been doing a lot of stuff, doing a lot of fun activities. I went to a concert for the first time in years. I went to see Yoongi, Auguste, in his D-Day tour in UBS for day 1 and day 2. It was amazing. I got barricade, and let me just say, the videos I got. Let me post the videos right now. Oh
my god, he's beautiful! Oh my god! Yoongi, I love you!
I want to say thank you for the people that watched my first video essay. It's very different from what I normally do. And people who also found it interesting. Many of my classmates came up to me after watching. They thought it was a really cool subject. Not many people talk about it, and it was just nice to see. Today's video essay is going to revolve around Latino trends, mainly Latino fetishization and the Columbusing of Latino culture. For the past couple of years, we have seen a rise in Latino representation in the media with reggaeton artists like Bad Bunny and Raúl Alejandro, traditional Mexican artists like Peso Pluma and Danny Lux, but also in fashion with the Mirapolais aesthetic, an aesthetic that many online claim has roots in Roman Catholicism and typical Latino and or Mexican fashion styles. As mainstream representation of Latinos continues to grow, we must become accustomed to the idea that this increased visualization and exposure may bring around some not so favorable behaviors from those that are being exposed to it. For instance, last summer, a white TikToker by the name of Gracie created a recipe for something that she called spa water.
We're going to make some spa water. This is anti-inflammatory, it's packed with antioxidants, it really helps with my digestion, and is personally just my favorite way to stay hydrated. So let's get into it. We're going to start with half of an English cucumber.
What the TikToker didn't know is that she made the grave mistake of Columbusing a traditional Mexican drink. Something that at first I was very understanding about, because I mean, it could happen to anyone. Not everyone has to know what everything is for every single culture, right? And it can be seen as just like an honest mistake. However, it became clear later on that she wasn't going to give a sincere, honest apology to the Hispanic community, instead opting to victimize herself and blame cancel culture. Once I witnessed her disregard and anger towards a justified cause, I knew I had to make a video essay about this. But before we continue, let's backtrack a little so that we can discuss the definition of Columbusing. Columbusing is defined as the act of discovering something that is new to you but familiar to another group, especially a minority group, and behaving as though it is new to everyone. It's somewhat similar to cultural appropriation, but this specifically focuses more on the act of discovering something that already exists, kind of like what Christopher Columbus did in the Americas. So the spa water Gracie created is actually agua fresca, a Mexican drink created in the Aztec Empire. Agua fresca, which translates to fresh water in English, involves blending fresh fruits, vegetables, rice, or hibiscus with water before straining to make a refreshing beverage. In short, it's a drink with a long history. In addition to the spa water Columbusing incident, there has also been a rise in similar incidents, like with cowboy caviar, which is actually ceviche or pico de gallo, depending on where you're from, and the Latino community has justifiably felt offended by this. The Latino community has made sure to express their outrage at the clear Columbusing happening, but they were most commonly met with comments like, "It's not that deep, you guys have clearly never been to a spa," or just a blatant disregard of their feelings and opinions by these Columbusing creators in the form of subpar apologies where they pushed the blame onto cancel culture and victimized themselves instead of taking ownership of their actions. Now, there has also been an interesting development in the fashion world where something called the Mirapolais aesthetic has risen to prominence. Many people online, including me, have noted that the style is either referring to or using something that was always present in the Catholic Latino community. The Mirapolais aesthetic also has various names that I've also noticed. It's called the Latina fairy aesthetic or the modern Catholic girl aesthetic, and it's just weird. It's a little weird. Many called out the people who were praising this sort of style because in some ways it was being Columbused into a form of high fashion that was more palpable to the majority non-white community. But when it was previously presented as an integral part of the Latino culture and the way of life, there was never that sort of praise and support for it. It was mostly seen as something exotic or like unknown, something that wasn't really attractive or something really trendy. Interestingly enough, the designer of this line of clothes came out to talk about the controversy surrounding his line. He's Brazilian, a Latino, and therefore he explained from his point of view why he felt that his clothing line was unique and why it wasn't cultural appropriation.
Okay, I have really had enough when it comes to this discourse on Mire Palais and the Catholic Mexican girl aesthetic. I'm Brazilian. Brazil is a devoutly Catholic country. My mom and my dad, but mostly my mom, is an extremely religious Catholic woman. I went to Catholic school growing up. We shot our campaign in Mexico. The model, Daniela Garza, who we shot for the campaign, is also Mexican. So we were like, I actually looked up cobblestone street cities, and I found San Miguel de Allende. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I showed it to Ana Fer, my assistant who was shooting with us. And she was like, oh my God, my dad loves it there. We should totally go there. Then we found an Airbnb. We showed it to Daniela. She fell in love. The collection itself had nothing to do with Mexico. I only decided to shoot in Mexico like 2 weeks before we got there. You know, I had to develop the whole collection. I had to design the whole thing. And it was inspired by my culture. It was inspired by Brazil. It was inspired by Gabriela, by Sonia Braga in the film Gabriela. It was inspired by Rita Hayworth in Gilda. It was not inspired by any means by Mexico specifically. We just knew that in San Miguel, it's a beautiful 15th century Spanish-built city. And we just knew that we'd be able to create really beautiful images there. If someone doesn't have any connection to our culture, to Latin culture, yes, like it is maybe kind of a little bit weird for them to like cosplay as like a Latino person. But that being said, white women can be Latina. So you have to really make sure before you're jumping to conclusions about someone and their culture and what their heritage is, you can't just say, oh, this person looks a certain way and so therefore they're not entitled to a culture.
I'm still feeling a little weird about it, but after hearing that the designer himself was Latino, I felt a little better about the way the clothing line came about and the general sensitivity that was given to the culture that inspired a beautiful clothing aesthetic. Although many people in the Latino community may have conflicting opinions on this topic, whether for a lack of interest, different political opinions, or just a very big difference between Latino Americans and Latinos in South America, there are two main reasons why people have justifiably found offense in the Columbusing incidents and why the act of Columbusing Hispanic/Latino culture is completely wrong. One of these big reasons is the dehumanization of Latino culture and history. Latino Americans as a group are filled with diverse communities, nationalities, and varying ideas that we, when inside of our little Latino bubble, can easily point out the differences and create further distinctions. But when placed in a nation filled with varying races and ethnicities, where we are constantly seen as one large collective outsider, we take pride in our culture, history, and shared experiences as something unifying for a larger population, as a way to find comfort in an alienating environment. Our culture is essential to our identity in a place where we don't fit in, so to see people pick and choose parts of our culture that they deem cute, fun, or worthy of attention can feel extremely dehumanizing. We innately know the repercussions of these Columbusing incidents, and we're justifiably mad. Agua Fresca is something deeply intertwined with the ancient cultural, religious, and economic world of the Aztec people, which greatly impacted how Mexican culture looks today. So the act of gentrifying something filled with culture and a genuine deep love and care for the history of a nation and its people, twisted into something that dehumanizes a country's rich history, invalidates emotions, and becomes a sort of empty idea that people can use without properly giving credit or acknowledging its importance to the larger community. By dehumanizing Latino foods or fashion style, something key to Latino culture, it ultimately strips it of its identity and becomes a shell of what it used to stand for, to be more palpable to American people. To Latinos in the US, this has become a sort of identity theft as it can heighten the sense of alienation that's already deeply felt within the community when they see that the appropriation of their food and clothes becomes accepted and praised when it's spread by a white person, but gets called exotic and weird when it's spread by a person of color. On the topic of exoticism, we're now going to talk about our second case study dealing with Latino fetishization, Quieren King. Quieren has been exposed for faking her ethnicity, claiming she's Latina when she's actually English and Polish. Like, how does that make sense, you know? Before we continue, let's take a look at this quick summary from fellow Latino creator, Queridos.
Breaking news, move over Rachel Dolezal because there's a new white woman making a career out of pretending she's a person of color, and that's Quieren King, a white UK singer with 3 million followers on TikTok who's leading the Latin trend. That's right, Latinos, we are just a trend to her. Quieren realized a few months back that by going one shade darker on her makeup and using her secondary school Spanish, she could sell a few more records and get a few more followers. Some people were bamboozled by her thinking she was actually Latin, but here she is explaining herself how white she is. Jim?
A lot of people ask how I learned all these languages, and I'm gonna tell you now.
English, I was born in the UK. Portuguese, I lived in Portugal. And
My stepdad was Portuguese, so what speaking Portuguese at home?
Spanish, that's a weird one. My neighbors were Spanish when I was younger, and all my friends are Spanish or South American. Y yo canto en español, música reggaeton. Fun fact, I actually sing in Spanish. I just connect with it more, I don't know.
Damn, UK, Portuguese, and Spanish, she's like the Voltron of colonizers. Also, she uses the Spanish flag when talking about Latin Americans. She knows nothing about our history, yet she's trying to be us. Damn girl, at least Rachel Dolezal went to an HBCU and read about black people before putting on the makeup. As for her music, we listened to her tracks, and in total, there are 3 verses in Spanish, so 25 minutes on Google Translate. But what's more offensive than the music or the makeup? It's the stereotypes. Jim?
Qué tóxico, respeto mi privacidad, que mi WhatsApp no es tuyo, bájale a tu intensidad.
All she has to say about our vibrant community is that our people are toxic. You know, we hate to keep giving her credit, but at least Rachel Dolezal went to work for the NAACP. So why don't you follow in your hero's footsteps by putting on your makeup and joining the United Farm Workers 24-day walk to Sacramento for justice, since you want to be Latina so much. And I'm getting word that we actually have a message for Quieren from Rachel Dolezal herself. If you want to come for the queen, you best come correct. Oh, wow, she still doesn't get it. None of them do.
Quieren King's actions are a clear reflection of society's fetishization of Latino women and the acceptance and propagation of harmful stereotypes regarding Latino women in media. She has consistently used these harmful Latina stereotypes to promote her brand and profit off the Latino community in hopes of gaining some clout for her music career and TikTok account. Sadly, it seems like it's worked. Quieren often posts these stereotypical TikToks to her 3 million fans, where she's acting like a Latina when all she does is act possessive, crazy, and calls herself una tóxica. These sorts of videos are all over her account. She often posts these videos and captions them with a hashtag Latin trend, further highlighting the fact that Quieren sees her community, and especially our women, as a simple trend she can jump on when convenient and quickly leave behind when it no longer offers her any benefit. She posts these videos so often, in fact, that she quite literally takes up the majority of the front page of the hashtag Latino trend. I really hope you can all recognize that this is wrong. This is very wrong. It's very weird. But just in case you don't fully grasp why, let me explain. For as long as there have been interactions between America and South America, there has always been a weird dehumanizing fascination with Latinos and Latino culture. Because of some Americans' unwillingness to truly learn about the Latino culture, they quickly latched on to whatever characteristic attracted them the most or was most portrayed in the media. From there on, there has been a serious hypersexualization, villainization, and exoticism of the Latino community, especially of Latino women. Latino women were constantly hypersexualized, all the way from early beginnings of Hollywood till today. Many Latina actresses became the epitome of beauty and exoticism, the highest symbol of sensuality, and a threat to white women because of the high chance that they will steal your husbands. Jokes. These roles, commonly given to Latina actresses at the time, perpetuated a fantasy that is riddled with sinister and sensual depictions of Latina women that show Latina women as nothing more than seductive, immoral, and a forbidden temptation for white men. Overall, the fetishization of Latinas has led to a general hypersexualization that has and still causes damages to a lot of Latinas. The constant objectification of Latinas can severely affect a person's self-esteem, career, and overall reputation. That's why when people like Quieren portray this hypersexualization as something wanted and essential to the personality of a Latino woman. It's both extremely disgusting but also incredibly misogynistic. Quieren is actively perpetuating a long-time harmful stereotype as if being objectified by men and villainized by women was something to be sought after. So the last thing I want to talk about is something regarding a smaller microtrend that I noticed on TikTok that was gaining a lot of attention, and it was basically TikToks just romanticizing Latino America, making them seem aesthetic with thin Latinas, poor houses, flowers, and typical Latino music in the background. It's kind of similar to the Mirror Polize aesthetic, but it's also weirdly similar to something that's like poverty and just like the poor aesthetic. I don't know. Here are some of the videos.
Me gusta viajar, me gustas tú. Me gusta la mañana, me gustas tú.
But the videos that I just showed you have a lot of photos from the Mirror Polize aesthetic. Now, don't get me wrong, I think it's absolutely beautiful to see my culture being shown off and portrayed like this on a popular app, and to have people in the comments saying it's beautiful, it's so aesthetic, but it's just a weird vibe that's given off by these videos. When I see videos like these giving people an idyllic version of our background and culture, I think it might give people the wrong idea about how people live their lives there. For instance, you may have noticed in the videos that I just showed you the type of women that were portrayed in these videos. These women are a mix of the exotic and hypersexualized stereotypes that are commonly seen in Latino women in media, and the Eurocentric skinny beauty standards that are constantly propagated in America as well. People are once again finding a way to provide representation to Latino women that fit their previous misconceptions on what the community looks like and what is visually the most attractive to them. I fear that these sorts of videos, although objectively beautiful, might give people the false notion that it's okay to fetishize us or Columbicize our culture without taking into account the diverse community and the problems that we face. In regards to the problems that we face, many people will see that sort of video and just think of this idyllic version, this aesthetic community, this amazing place to visit. But they don't really get to see the true heart of the community, many problems that are faced, like the rampant crime and corruption, making the lives of regular people extremely difficult. Okay, it just doesn't seem like there's a real intent to create this accurate and proper representation, and there's no real interest in the reality of these people's lives, the people that live in the communities, the environment, that are constantly being shown off and deemed beautiful, aesthetic, and a dream travel destination. Some viewers may see these videos and take that as the truth, leaving a completely different side of these communities completely ignored. Communities that are still feeling the effects of colonization and US imperialism on their economy and government stability. People want to be Latino without caring about the real social issues that are going on in these communities. So this trend just seems like another instance where people are picking and choosing parts of a culture or country even that is most palpable and attractive to them. So how to move forward? It's perfectly fine to admire culture or speak about it if you are showing a genuine interest, respect, and a willingness to educate yourself on topics that are key to the cultures you're talking about. And of course, after hearing this, some of you may say, we can't make everything that gets posted online follow these woke guidelines the internet has placed on us, and to that I say fine. If you want to simply enjoy a aesthetic video, go right ahead and comment about how beautiful it is and how the culture is so interesting. But next time you have to discuss anything related to the lives of the members of the community that you praise so much, remember that these people are real humans and not just something you're admiring through these rose-tinted glasses. Last but not least, please don't fetishize us. That's genuinely so weird. Like, how does one think that faking your ethnicity and pretending to be Latina online is okay? It's worse when you find out that she's doing it for clout. Like, if you have a large audience, don't perpetuate a toxic stereotype onto an audience of 3 million people. And then you act shocked when you realize that your actions have consequences. You just didn't think people were going to catch on to the fact that you're not Latina. I don't know. It's just weird. It's just so weird. I would get if she was pulling a Rosalia, you know? Like, I'm Latina, but you're technically Hispanic, not Latina. I would get it in that case. But English and Polish is crazy. Weird. That's all I can say about it. To all the Graces and Kiaras out there, please respect our culture. It's not that hard. And that's it for this video essay. Thank you so much for watching. This was just my little thoughts on this whole Latino rise, of course. This Latino rise in popularity. Like, I obviously love it. I love it. It's like we're getting our time to shine, you know? But of course, with increased visibility comes more problems, you know? I think that's a Bell Hooks quote now that I think about it. No, Bell Hooks was like marginalization as a space for creativity. That was Bell Hooks. Okay, but yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you have like differing opinions, if you disagree with me on some things. If you don't, let me know. I'd love to read them in the comments. And yeah, I hope to have another video out this summer. If not, then I'll see you next year. Goodbye.